Brian, you sent me this link. I went to go see it, and I say, yo, why aren't people talking about this?
Bizarre, right? That's just been
It's
it's
crazy,
been sitting
yo.
out there. There's like no articles about it, nothing. Like it's just sitting there.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Report. I'm your host, Pablo, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Brian Schultz, The Void. One of our favorite shows that we started doing, where we talk about those things that go probably unnoticed, but are very impactful for the genre and for the movie business. Rambo this week. We're going to talk about a prequel that is being rumored. It's interesting. I
think this can work.
Yes. Highlander, Bautista as Kurgan. Alien Earth. I wasn't really an Alien fan, Brian, but there seems to be a lot of buzz for that show on Hulu.
I've watched it. I just want to give a couple quick points on it.
Something that hasn't been spoken of, which is amazing to me that it hasn't been spoken of. This is the Mando Grogu trailer leak.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that and I was like, I cannot wait to see this film. And Tom Cruise, his requests have been denied for a movie that he's trying to do. This is the world we live in now. Rambo, prequel.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
So there are reports of Noah Centineo, most notably of The Recruit, but you may have seen him in Black Adam, that he is attached officially. This is not a rumor. So he's actually signed to star as young John Rambo in a prequel film. Currently in the works, plot under wraps, but expected to be an origin story of Rambo during the Vietnam War.
I am interested in that, Brian.
Let's be clear. So First Blood, which was a novel first before it became a movie, and people Rambo's become this like caricature character. First Blood is a serious drama movie with a real performance in it.
I watch it every time it's on.
It's a great film, and Stallone is really good in it. This is not like he's on the testosterone and like saying crazy one line. Like he's a real tortured character portraying a real thing, right? About
a scary dude.
But what's interesting and why I think this can work is if you think about the content of First Blood, all of the little breadcrumbs to do the prequel are right there. Because Troutman says, he talks about the recruitment. He even names all the members of Baker team. He says, they're all gone, sir. And he lists all the names. In fact, the beginning of the movie, he's going to Delmore Barry's home to find out that Barry would died of cancer after coming home from the war. Like, it's all there.
Immortality! Take it! It's yours!
Like, when you listen to Troutman talk about, like, Rambo's job was to dispose of enemy personnel, to kill. Like, you don't want to see what made him into that? You don't want to see his team at work in Southeast Asia? Like, that can work, man. That movie can work. And Noah Centineo is not a bad choice. As a young Stallone, if you watch The Recruit, he's good as a physical character. He's good as a dramatic character. He has a little sense of humor. That is inspired casting for this role. I am excited for this.
I love that line. If you're going to take that many people, don't forget one thing. A good supply of body bags. Oh, my God.
First off, other than Don King, has there ever been a better hype man than Sam Troutman? This guy walks in the tent and he's like, I didn't come here to save Rambo from you. I came here to save you from him. Like, the whole thing is like, you have no chance against this guy.
Oh, snap. You trying to tell me there's 200 men against one guy's going to... Oh, man. And that scene, he made the sheriff cry in the woods, He made him cry.
See, they made that scene in every movie after that, and they made it progressively more silly, right?
Yeah.
But that first one, he's terrifying in the jungle with the traps, and then when he catches them, and I
could have killed you. I could have killed them all. Out there, you're the law. Out here is me.
It's incredible. Stallone is incredible.
I'll give you war you won't believe.
Let's go.
And then he turns his face with the knife in his neck and looking at him. Let it go. Oh my God. That movie right there, man. I tell you, I watch it every time it's on, yo.
It's become so underrated because of what came after. And I think Rambo 2 is great. I think it's so much fun. I even think Rambo 3 is watchable. But like people forget the origin of this was a very serious story with a serious message about, Vietnam veterans and how they were treated upon coming home. That speech at the end where he breaks down, that is not like that's like an Oscar worthy type of moment for Stallone. He's amazing in that scene.
Tell me about it, yo. Nothing is over. You just don't turn it off. Psst. Then he like, and then he says, well, I mean, we should do. We should. I was thinking we should do like a show where we rewatch some of our favorite movies and
Oh
talk
yeah,
about them.
I mean, I love the Rewatchables podcast. Shouts to them. I mean, that's the whole idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
we quote so many of these. We should the ones we quote all the time: Tombstone and Predator and First Blood. We should just do something on all those because we love them so much. Equilibrium. We did the one with Winter Soldier. We looked at some of the anniversaries. We've done some of those. I think that's important. But no, a prequel to First Blood. If that's the approach they're going to take using that material, that can be a real movie, not a joke. That can be a real movie that is compelling to watch.
And I hope it is. I hope they treat it as such. I can't wait. I can't wait. Whatever year this is supposed to drop, it'll be my top 25. It'll be up there.
Yeah,
It'll be
I
up
agree.
there.
I agree.
Highlander, Bautista as Kurgan. Brian, what are your thoughts on this cast?
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic because Dave Bautista, former pro wrestler, like physically imposing guy, quality actor from a dramatic standpoint, athletic enough because of the wrestling background, and I think a very good physical foil for Henry Cavill, who's a much larger individual than Christopher Lambert was in the original Highlander. The idea of those two locking swords in a climactic duel, and also the two of them slicing off heads along the way before they face each other, that is a good casting for a movie that I continue to think is going to be a real sleeper hit when it comes. I mean, I can't wait to see the first trailer. I can't wait to see what Stahelski's doing with fight choreography. I know Cavill can handle a sword at a high level based upon The Witcher. Like, I think this movie can be really, and also Russell Crowe is the Ramirez mentor character. This is a quality cast, and this is a good director getting a real budget. This is going to be a lot better than the original, I think, and I think people are going to care about this when it comes.
Okay.
Because it's different. So it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be coming out in 2027. I think they're like early 20 something like that, but. People are it's like if you're mining for IP, I think people are looking for like, can you do something different? Can you show me something I haven't really seen before? And I weirdly think like, something like He-Man could actually feed into this because you're going to see swordplay in that movie, granted in a much more fantastical sense. But like if that movie hits in 2026 and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I got Cavill and I got Bautista and I got Crowe and they are swashbuckling through history wielding swords, I think that can work.
Alien Earth.
I don't think this show works. That's why I wanted to talk about it. It got really good reviews. People seem to be high on it. I watched the first 2 episodes. I do think there's stuff visually that I think is worth checking out. They do some really interesting quick cutting and kind of flash forward. The way they're showing the material is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. But I kind of come to the conclusion of this IP, because I saw Romulus, and Romulus got good reviews, and I didn't think Romulus was a bad movie either. But I think the Alien IP has just reached this stage where they are too constrained by what has come before, and they can never escape it. And what I mean by that is the xenomorph's kind of limited as a creature. And everyone who has done this IP acts in a manner of, we know what you came to see. We have to get you to the kill. And we have to do it in a way that basically honors Ridley Scott or James Cameron from the first 2 movies. And there's a point at which I'm just kind of like, we've seen it all. and it's just like it loses that impact. Like it's coming, the kill. Oh, that's where that kill is going to be. Oh, and this series is like a direct homage to. There's like the opening sequence is like directly out of the original Alien movie, like the suits and the graininess and like all in a way that Romulus was very much paying homage to. I thought the Cameron one at points with some of the action sequences. Like I just think we've been there and done that. And like the fact that they're trying to bring this to Earth and they've got some interesting actors, I just found myself being like, I'm a little bored here because I know all you're doing is contorting the plot to get to we're in a dimly lit tunnel and there's an unsuspecting victim and here comes a xenomorph and they're toast. And I'm just like, you can't keep doing that. So I'll keep watching the show. I'll report back, but I'm kind of just out on the Alien IP, I think.
I was always looking forward to what happened after the Prometheus movie when she went to a different.
So that's the only movie sequel that I defend because Ridley Scott himself, I think, recognized he had to change something. And so Prometheus is not a perfect movie, but it's a different movie. It stands apart because it doesn't have the xenomorph in it. It's more interesting. So I'm with you. But then even Scott, I think even because Prometheus wasn't a big hit, I think really Scott got pushed back into, all right, I got to give you in Covenant, I got to give you the creature back. And here we are again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not holding my interest so far, even though I can tell it's well made. And there are parts of it visually that look really good on TV. I just don't know that Alien IP works. You got to find, someone has got to find another avenue to open this up for me.
Yeah. Before we move on to the Mando Grogu trailer leak, what are your thoughts on the what would the word be for how Hulu is sort of ending and it'll just be Disney at some point moving forward? What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I've been a little surprised at how integrated Disney has allowed the adult content to be. Like, if you go on Disney Plus and you just pull up movies and you don't have like any filter on for your kids, like there's a lot of R-rated. There was more R-rated stuff on there that I didn't even realize they were showing. I was looking like just like random like old movies that were on there. I was like, oh, you guys have this in the catalog on Disney Plus that I can watch for free. I'm like, that's kind of cool, but like I don't associate that with Disney. So I think it's just more like acknowledging that they just want the whole. They're less concerned with the brand image of the Mouse House.
And that's a problem.
You think that's a problem that they're actually like, okay,
of course,
speak on
that's
it
what
then.
they made their bread and butter on, being a family friendly place. They've sort of abandoned that, and I think they sort of abandoned it for money. And for me, I think it's a bad choice.
Because to the point we just talked about Alien Earth. Alien Earth is actually an FX, is a Fox, so it's a Disney production. So I think it's interesting that like when that premiered, if you popped open Disney Plus, right, like with your kids, what was plastered front and center in the app was a picture of the xenomorph with the mouth open saying 2-part premiere, Alien Earth. Like your kids are getting that put right to their face unless you filtered it out. So I'm just saying, like there's no fear anymore about putting that stuff in front of everyone. There's no distinction. Even the stuff my queue is feeding me based upon the stuff we watched in the past, they're quite content to throw R-rated stuff, into that line, that first line or that second line alongside, anything family friendly. So it is, yeah, there's really no lines unless you draw them as an adult or a parent.
Brian, you sent me this link.
Speaking
I
of
went
Disney,
to go see it, and I say, yo, why aren't people talking about this?
Bizarre, right? That's just been
It's crazy.
It's been sitting out there. There's like no articles about it, nothing. Like it's just sitting there.
The Mando and Grogu trailer leak. I don't know if it's still up. I don't know if you can probably still find it. But the leak shows some action sequences that are reminiscent of other shows that we've watched in terms of how it was shot, and how it was done. Brian, was spectacularly in this trailer leak.
Yeah, Jon
and I can't
Favreau.
wait to see it.
Yeah, Jon Favreau back behind the camera for this one, and they waste no time. Like you're watching the opening shot. It's like, okay, we're on the Imperial cruiser. All right, you're guessing you might be, I'm probably getting a Mando Grogu, and then he uncorks his version of the Daredevil hallway fight. That's what it is. It's a single cam moving forward and backward through an Imperial starship that Mando is breaking and entering and shooting up a lot of troopers and a lot of bad guys to get to the cockpit for some objective. And it looks cool. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks Star Wars.
It looks cinematic. That was the other thing. So
Yes.
that sequence, and I thought the whole sequence with the AT-ATs back in the snow, the walkers, looked grand on a scale far greater than the show. And that was one of my big concerns with this as a movie, is that we've talked about it. The show at points, because of the use of the volume, feels very small at points. And so when you say you're going to make a movie and you want me to go pay to go see this on the big screen, like, it has to look worthy of the big screen. And the show hasn't always looked worthy of the big screen. This trailer looks worthy of the big screen.
I have my gripe. I did have my gripes, but we'll save that for a later time.
There's
when
one
it actually
obvious one,
comes out.
which is
Yeah,
there's
it's like
a certain little green
and if you've been
fellow.
watching this
Yeah,
show,
there's a certain little green
yeah, you've
fellow.
been watching this show. You already know what my gripes are with Grogu.
Yeah, is he just not going to age ever? Is that like not? Is he going to be little Grogu?
I just
forever?
need him to say something, yo. I just needed to say something because enough is enough. But we'll see.
But it does look good,
We'll
and I'm
see.
kind of like,
Yes.
yeah, I'm like, why haven't they? It's a weird thing too, because it leaked, I think, in Asia. I think that's where this originated from. But it's kind of like, why isn't this available? Like, why haven't they put something? Like, don't they want to build hype for this? It's less than a year out.
When is this coming out?
Next summer. It's less than a year out. Like, I'm surprised they haven't actually put a full-fledged trailer out to get people excited, especially with this floating around.
And where was this leaked? Where was this shown?
Well, I thought it was shown, I guess, at a film festival. Was it a film festival in Asia? It's not shown in connection with a movie. It was shown at like one of these cons, right? Like an Asian con, like a con over in Asia, like not Comic-Con, but something like that. I think that's where it popped up. But someone got it out in pretty decent quality, so you could see it. It definitely increased my interest. I was like, for a movie that I had my doubts of, I was like, okay, Jon Favreau still knows how to direct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. As RoboCop would say, I'll buy that for
$1. Oh my God. That crazy dude. Oh my God. God, I can't believe you brought that up.
I'm like, why are these people laughing? This is not funny, but people were loving it. It was crazy. When I was on the cruise, they had this sort of name that tune, but the tune was from movies.
Oh, I would have crushed that.
And one of them was RoboCop, and the only reason I knew it was RoboCop because they let it play. They let it play for like almost a minute and a half, where they were only supposed to let it play for 10 seconds. But if you hear the first 10 seconds of that RoboCop, nobody's gonna guess it. The only way you guess it if you hear the dun 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 dun. That's the only way you recognize it. So it was crazy to hear it, but yeah. Mando Grogu trailer, man. When it comes out, I think it's going to get a lot of people excited.
I've lost my mojo.
Tom Cruise is losing his mojo, man. He is not getting what he... I don't know if he necessarily asks anymore for stuff. He says, this is what's happening. And as Gamora would say...
I told you no.
The universe has answered.
Tom Cruise gets denied more money for this movie called Deeper. What's going on there?
Oh, well, we talk, you go back to our Mission Impossible Final Reckoning show. I think, I don't know what it's like to be Tom Cruise. I'm sure he doesn't live in a world that I live in, but I think he has yet to hear what the numbers are saying, which is Top Gun Maverick was the exception and not the rule. As I said in that show, I think he lives his life every day now believing he is the messiah of the theatrical experience because of Top Gun Maverick, which I have pointed out to before, comes 5 months after Spider-Man No Way Home did $2 billion. So that's not true. But Steven Spielberg told him that at a press junket, said, you saved movies. And ever since then, the next two Mission Impossible movies basically started to take on this form of everything is pointed at Tom Cruise as the only person on the planet who can save everything. So he wants to do this movie called Deeper, in which he plays some sort of like former astronaut on some sort of deep sea mission that involves the supernatural, and it co-stars his, I guess, new girlfriend, Ana de Armas, and it's directed by Doug Liman, who directed Edge of Tomorrow and The Bourne Identity. Pretty good director. Well, Warner Brothers, which could not be hotter as a studio, which we've talked about, I mean, they're crushing it. I think they broke a record recently. 6 consecutive Warner Brothers releases have had an opening weekend of 40 million or more. 6 straight. That's never happened in cinema history. They are hotter than hot. You know, Sinners, Superman, Weapons, Minecraft, F1. It's all them. Never had this studio. It looked like it was dead in the water at the start of the year, and it's like they're throwing fastballs right and left.
Right? Where's the stock at now?
I haven't checked recently, but I'm sure it's had a good year because that's
Yeah.
cash, and they need cash. But anyway, so they gave a first off. Let me repeat that. This is a movie, a deep sea underwater adventure involving the supernatural. Not a sequel, not IP. They gave a $200 million budget to Cruise for this, meaning this movie would have to make close to $500 million worldwide to turn a profit. That is a massive vote of confidence by the studio, to which Tom Cruise said it has to be at least $275 million. To which Warner Brothers said,
Hell no! I said no!
and remember, Cruise and Warner Brothers have set this new agreement where they're like now newly working together after Cruise had worked with Paramount for all those years. And right out of the gate, Warner Brothers is like, nope.
Nah. I wonder if he said, "Do you know who I am?" He had to have said it at some point.
Actually, what I'm hoping is, did Warner Brothers say to him, I can understand you're very upset? And did he say, you've never seen me very upset? Did he say that in the conversation? But look, I mean, the numbers don't lie. Final Reckoning was a massive disappointment, lost money. Dead Reckoning was a massive disappointment, lost money. Those movies carried a budget of $400 million. Like, why should you give Tom Cruise everything he wants right now? He's cold again.
And I don't think he's going to recover in terms of the type of movies that he wants to make.
I mean, like I said, he's already got the F1 jealousy. That's why he's walking around with the Days of Thunder sequel where he's trying to do some kind of crossover with the F1 world because he missed out on that part. Like, there's nothing about this subject matter or his recent box office that should suggest Warner Brothers ought to give him $275 million for this. So now there's rumors of like, is this movie not going to happen? Are they going to set it up at another studio? But it really just goes to the point of Tom Cruise as movie star has kind of flown
Once
too
again,
close to the sun.
floundering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final Reckoning is not that good, man. That is not a good movie.
It is ridiculous, is what it is.
And it's so long.
All you gotta do is make a few tweaks, and it's a comedy.
Hang on, you saw The Naked Gun, right? You have seen it now?
No, I haven't seen it, yo.
Because you said to the point it's a comedy. Naked Gun actually did that in the movie. They spoofed the Mission Impossible as part of the movie, which you will recognize instantly. Wow. It's like, it is a comedy because they made a joke of it. Yeah. Number one anticipated movie. You haven't seen it yet. Come on.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. He doesn't want his star power to not shine as brightly as it has in the past, especially after Top Gun Maverick and all the praise that he got for that. Fallout was the one with Henry Cavill, correct?
Yeah, no, that's great. And that made money. But I'm saying that's the pre-Tom Cruise saved movies. See, that's the thing, right? He was making that strong comeback because Edge of Tomorrow doesn't make money, but that's an amazing movie that I think has had a great second life on cable and rewatch. But then Rogue Nation does great, makes money, great reviews. Fallout, amazing, makes the most money in the series. And then he does, after COVID, he does Maverick. And you're like, those 3 movies, like his stock is like back maximum. But then he gets told, like, you're the guy. Like, we literally would not have a single theater open on the planet if not for you. That's what he gets told. So then he completely pivots and it becomes all about him as savior. Yeah. All these movies become all about him as savior and they take huge steps backward. Audiences reject it. And yeah, now studios are getting cold feet and saying, you're not that bankable anymore.
And who's going to, and I mean, basically Warner Brothers has just told him that, they told him, they basically, now you're not getting
they're right. I mean, that's the right decision. Like $275 million budget. That movie would have to make 650, 700 million worldwide to turn. There's no $700 million market for a deep sea underwater adventure involving a former astronaut and the supernatural. Like, That's not a $700 million project. It's not.
Yeah, well, let's see what Tom Cruise does if this movie actually does get made or he moves on. But this has been an interesting episode of The Void. Some really interesting things going on with Rambo, that Rambo prequel. Highlander is Brian is very excited about the Highlander Bautista as Kurgan. Alien Earth, I've read some stuff about it being well done and people seeming to tune in, but having questions about its connections to other films and its past. The Mando Grogu trailer leak. That's why we do The Void, because why this is not being spoken of in an exciting sort of manner all over the place, because what we saw was outstanding, but it just hasn't been spoken of yet. So we'll see what happens there. And yeah, Tom Cruise is you know on his how would I say, he's on what I say, last legs in terms of his star power and what he wants to do, and he's the guy. I think that run is over unless he chooses to again work with great directors and take direction. And is unless he starts directing himself and doing something different. I mean, I don't know if he's the action guy that he thinks
No,
he
I
is
think
now.
that's part
I
of it.
think that run is over.
He needs to have that moment where he starts to act his age, because Tom Cruise, dramatic actor, is still in there. At this point, you see it in Maverick. I mean, he still has those moments. The scene with Val Kilmer, it's still in there, but he has created this image for himself where he is Superman effectively. He is a superhero effectively, and he needs to let that go. He's in his 60s now. It's a different type of role for him. And if he can find that, if he find those dramatic roles, those are not $200 million budget movies, but he could go after awards again. That he could do. But, I just, I think the days of him doing death-defying stunts just to kind of, that's the only thing that gets you to the theater. Like, I think those days are, petered out.
But yeah, let us know in the comment section below what you guys think of all the things we discussed on The Void. Hit that like and subscribe and comment in the comment section below. And we'll see you next time on the Nerd Gen Report.